There's a war every man must fight, a war that doesn't end with a ceasefire, a treaty, or a victory parade, a war that no one sees, no one talks about, and no one prepares you for. It's not fought with guns or knives. There are no soldiers, no banners, no enemy in uniform, because this war is against yourself, and that is the hardest war of all. Thomas Shelby knew this war well. From the outside, he was a man who had everything: power, wealth, control. People feared him, respected him, envied him, but none of them saw the battle raging beneath his calm exterior. None of them saw the sleepless nights, the ghosts of the past that refused to let him go, the burden of every decision, every loss, every regret. They thought he was fighting the world, but in truth, he was fighting himself. And if you've ever stood in front of a mirror, staring into your own reflection, questioning your purpose, your past, your future, you understand this war too, because the greatest enemy you will ever face is the one inside your own mind. War changes a man, not just the kind fought on battlefields, but the war of survival, the war of ambition, the war of becoming someone in a world that tries to break you. Thomas Shelby had seen real war. The trenches of World War I had carved scars into his soul, scars that no one could see, but that never stopped bleeding. He returned from the battlefield, but the war never left him. It followed him home, whispering in the dark, reminding him of the things he had done, the men he had buried, the choices that could never be undone. So he built walls around his mind, around his heart, around his soul, because if he didn't, the war would consume him. He fought in the streets. He fought in the business world. He fought against enemies who wanted to take everything he had built, but none of them scared him. Not the gangsters, not the police, not the men who put guns to his head. The only thing that truly terrified him was losing control of himself. That's the war every strong man understands. The battle between who you are and who you're trying to become. The voice in your head that tells you to give up, to run, to surrender. Thomas Shelby refused, because in this war there are only two choices. You either take control or you get destroyed. People talk about power like it's a gift, like it's something men are born with or something they can steal. But power is not given, power is earned, and the price, it's everything. The ones who rise to the top, the ones who build empires, who carve their names into history, who command respect wherever they go, they pay for it, in blood, in sacrifice, in the heavy weight of every decision they make. Thomas Shelby wasn't just a leader, he was a prisoner of his own mind, a man who could not rest because the moment he let his guard down, the war would devour him. He tried to silence it, with whiskey, with cigarettes, with cold, calculated moves that made him seem untouchable, but no man is truly untouchable when his greatest enemy is himself. He knew that every choice came with a cost. Every victory came with a new burden. Every step forward meant losing another piece of himself. That's the reality of this war. You don't win by being the strongest. You win by being the last one standing. But the real question is, how much of yourself will be left when the war is over? There is a lesson in Thomas Shelby's story, a truth that every man must face. You can lose everything, your money, your friends, your reputation, but the moment you lose the war within, it's over. The moment you let fear, doubt, and regret take control, you've already been defeated. That's why you fight, not for money, not for revenge, not for power. You fight because the moment you stop, the war is lost. Thomas Shelby didn't win because he was the smartest or the strongest. He won because he never stopped moving forward, because he understood that pain is not an obstacle, it's fuel, that suffering is not a punishment, it's the fire that forges something stronger, and so he embraced it. He let the war shape him, sharpen him, harden him into a man who could not be broken. He carried his scars like armor, and when the demons came for him in the night, whispering that he wasn't enough, that he should quit, that the weight was too heavy, he didn't run. Or he stared them down and said, "You are not in control, I am." That's how you win. Not by avoiding the war, not by hoping it ends, but by becoming the kind of man who can fight it every single day and never surrender. Because in the end, The war that never ends is the one that makes you who you were meant to be. And the ones who refuse to give up, they are the ones who carve their names into history